All right, welcome everybody. This is Wednesday night podcast, Grand Meadow Speed Lab. We are here with some of the boys. Let's go ahead and introduce yourself, guys. Corb, you can start, bud.
I'm the driver of the 33 Rage by GM Speed B-Mod.
Perfect.
My name's Parker. I'm the driver of the number 28 USRA modified Rage chassis, Winona, Minnesota.
Bottom left, Zach. You want to go ahead?
I'm Zach. I'm head of marketing and media.
Perfect. And I'm Jackson. I drive the 28J uh, GRT by GM Speed Lab, USRA B-Mod.
We're missing Zach. He's
Oh,
froze down there in the corner.
I'm Zach. Can't see me. Drive the GM Speed Lab Rage 43 modified.
We're having some technical difficulties with Zach down there.
Yeah.
We are also missing Parker Anderson. He is currently at the Chassis Dyno in Mankato. He's been fighting some gremlins with his race cars these last few months. So he was planning to be here with us tonight, but like I said, he's gonna probably have a late night on the dyno. So yeah, we just wanted to we've had a few people ask us about starting this up, maybe getting our group together and just talking a little bit of racing here. So yeah, we're just gonna go into a few things and yeah, see how you guys like it.
Yeah, no, it's a good starting point. So, kind of one thing I want to talk about was last week's race. We raced the Dairyland Showdown, Mississippi Thunder Speedway. It was an on-them sanctioned event, which was a little bit different because we saw guys from east, south, like UMP on the bigger motors on the Hoosier tires. That was a little bit different. It was cool to see like David Stremme come up. Kyle Strickler was in one of Kay Dillard's cars. There were several others I didn't know. I didn't know the names of the guys, but yeah, so it's cool to see those guys come up. It was definitely different racing with them. I the one thing I noticed was that Friday night I started in the back of that feature, and Strickler spun out or hit a tire like the first like corner of the race or first lap of the race, went to the back, and I'm not kidding. He blew the next restart. He blew through the middle on the gas like he had 1,000 horsepower. That's soft. I mean, the track was so fresh at that time.
Right.
And I was like pedaling it. Like I felt like I was driving wide open for 20 laps, just trying to keep up, And then once the track kind of transitioned to start to get a little bit cleaned off, dry out a little bit, I feel like the USRA cars started to, make strides toward the end. So I don't know, for me, that's kind of a good feeling, feeling a little bit outmotored early, but then as the race went on, like I felt like my car kept getting, continuously better. So I feel like, I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts watching?
I think he kind of hit that one right on the money. I think you know, leading up to that 100,000 win show here at the end of the month, like you said, you got Wasota cars, you got USRA cars, UMP guys, IMCA guys. I think the UMP cars, I interviewed David Stremme in the pits on Friday, just talked with him a little bit, and I think the UMP cars are gonna have the clear advantage in a heavy hammer down heat race. I mean, we saw that. Um, I watched Ethan Dotson from the stands this weekend, and it it sounded like he had 200 more horse than any car out there, when the track was heavy. I was watching Kelly Shryack trying to keep up with him, and just those UMP cars, they got them big motors and the soft tires. I think they're going to definitely have the advantage come qualifying. But I think we saw, Friday night, I mean, Jim absolutely smoked them guys when the track cleaned off. I think the
What
US
do they get for a spoiler?
They get look from what I saw. It looked like I believe, and don't quote me on this. It looked like it was like a 3-inch blade. So they
I
definitely
believe
get
it's a
something. They
believe it's a
definitely
3-inch blade.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I think 100 laps, track goes clean bottom to top. I th I think the USRA car might have an advantage, just having that extra, 2, 3 inches of spoiler. I think motor's not going to play a factor quite as much once the track slows down. I mean, UMP guy might take off in the first 30, 30, 40, 50 laps, but I think as the race progresses, track cleans off. Um, I think the USRA guys are going to be good. Honestly, some of these IMCA guys, they're good. It's just they're gonna have a hell of a time getting in with qualifying. I think. I think.
Well, yeah, qualifying is going to be the big thing. And I was talking a little bit with my buddy Jake on Friday, and don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that what he was telling me was that qualifying is worth just as many points as like a good heat race. So that's where I think those UMP cars might have an advantage if they get out early in qualifying on
Right.
that soft tire and that big motor. They're going to set down some pretty fast times. But at the same time, that Friday night, David Stremme, I think, was like one of the faster cars overall in hot laps. Looking at my race pass, and then like Brandon Davis was second. Like Brandon has arguably one of the smaller motors, probably in the pits, but his car's tuned in. He's a good driver, so maybe that whole motor situation might not play as big of an advantage as we think it is, but I definitely think if it's like absolutely hammered down, fresh farmed racetrack, it's definitely gonna benefit to have more power and a soft tire. But I guess time will tell. I mean, there's gonna be, over 200 cars on that track. So, hopefully with the weather plays out good, we have a good not a clean racetrack by any means, but a nice smooth surface with multi groove racing, traction on the bottom, traction through the middle, traction on top. So I think it should make for a good weekend if the weather plays out.
I'm curious to see, like I said, once you wean out everyone, get to that, get to the A main, that 100 lapper, you're gonna have guys out there. I mean, granted, it's gonna take a lot of luck. I mean, a guy like Nick Hoffman could show up and not even make the show. Not saying he's not going to, but there's gonna be 200, 250 race cars. I mean, all it takes is
It's
something to break in a qualifying race, and it kind of screws your whole weekend.
it's all about time trials. If you can't time in good, you're probably gonna be screwed the whole weekend. But it also is gonna take a ton of luck. Like there, no matter how good you are, it's gonna be nothing
Right.
but luck.
I mean, a show like this, I mean, you're gonna have realistically, there could be 50 guys there, 60 guys there that could win that race on a perfect night, on a perfect weekend. Um, I feel very confidently that, a local guy from here could win that 100,000 just as much as, Ricky Thornton Jr., Bobby Pierce could.
Well,
Like
local guys probably have I mean, the top guys around our local tracks probably have the most advantage of anybody just being here every week.
well,
I mean, I don't know. Like obviously there's guys that run tons of different racetracks throughout the year and it won't matter really. It's not
right,
like MTS is the trickiest thing, but
right.
I don't know. Like the guys that are here every week know what this dirt's like now with the new dirt, and I don't know. It'll be interesting for sure.
Well, I mean, if you look at the guys around, around where we race, or around Fountain City, Deer Creek, Mason City, this area, you've got USMTS national points leader. You got Jake Tim. Jake's leading points. You got Jim Chisholm, who's arguably one of the hottest wheels probably in the country right now. I mean, you got Brandon Davis, Lucas Schott. I mean, you can go down the list. I mean, there's like you said, just guys that race here weekly or that live around the area. There's 30 guys here that could, like we said, on a perfect weekend that could win this show. Yeah, I'm curious to see what's going to be like. It was good to see, they got that new dirt. It was good to see, get the late models on there, put some laps on it, see kind of how the track race, in those longer stretches, those 50 lappers. Um, Seemed like it kind of started off dirty, but about lap 25, lap 20, it started cleaning off and it got pretty racy. So I think you put them on there for 100 laps. I think that track's going to race gonna be pretty badass.
Yeah, I think it helps that Bob's got that nice heavy hitch tool, where you can go out and farm the track. What's it take him? Less than half an hour to do a complete farm job on that track. Go out and
I think
walk.
about 15 minutes, they said,
Yeah,
is
Yeah,
about
I mean,
time.
it's pretty
and
crazy.
it's great because it's like, yeah, I wouldn't even say the track, even with that dirt, it doesn't get like necessarily dirty. It kind of blows off, starts at the bottom, works up to the top, and before you know it, it's like you got 3 grooves of racing. So I think that's going to be beneficial to that 100 lap show. So
I think that at least the coolest thing I saw last week, and as far as the racetrack went, was like you said, it raced. I mean, I watched Nick Hoffman and those super late models run right through the center and turn faster laps than them guys ripping around the wall. I watched Cade Dillard on Friday night set quick time right around the bottom all the way around. And, we watched Bobby Pierce let it hang out there on the top and, drive around people. So it was pretty cool to see the racetrack. It really was racy all over. I mean,
Mhm.
and, it was their first or second show of the year. And I thought the racing was pretty dang good.
Well, that track was smooth too. The very first night we raced on it. I mean,
Yeah.
there was no ruts or nothing. It was pretty. Even the laps we got on it before the season started, it was really nice, really smooth.
Right. So no, going back to the weekend, we just had Parker and Zach racing for us. Kind of go over your guys' weekend, how things went, where you finished, just kind of go through that.
Zach, you want to start?
Sure. Um, mine's. You guys know how long of a story mine could be.
All right.
Friday was. I won't keep it long. Friday was interesting. Broke some stuff. Got set behind the 8 ball early. Started in the last in a B and didn't make her up there. Saturday was a lot better. Had a really good heat race, but also ran somewhat decent in the heat. Um, almost got a B win. I mean, if I would have chilled out and just hit the bottom in 3 and 4, I might have had it. Um, feature Saturday, felt like I was trying too hard or something and just could not get out of where I was at. I think I need to calm down or be more aggressive right away. And then Sunday was just a mess. Got KO'd in hot laps and ran a B-mod header and broke a rim and tore the whole right side off in the deck and patched her back up to run the heat. Had a good heat race. Would have won it if it weren't for Rodney.
Yeah,
And
you went
then
like you went like sixth or seventh a second, didn't you?
yeah, we started sixth and I got the second like within a couple laps. Caught Cold Denner was leading. Caught him, passed him, and then Rodney went by both of us on the top. Got second.
No,
And
he's like
then
that guy's won a few
had
races
a
in this day.
yeah. And then had a needed to figure out where to be sooner in the feature and ran ninth, but we're still learning the old modified, so we'll get
Yeah,
it.
I feel like I've never raced a race. I think the longest race I've finished probably a 30 lapper in the B mod, but I think for you getting in that 40 lapper, that was your first big long race, wasn't it, in a mod?
Um, I mean, I don't know. I've raced stuff like that before in a mod, I guess. My longest, yeah, that'd be my longest one.
Yeah, that's
We
40
ran 40, but the other nights this year, I think we're 30 or 25 at Mason and
right?
MTS. But no, it that's been a big difference too. Is like just like the how could I say it, wear and tear on my body almost. Like my left arm and left forearm is like locked up when I get out of the modified after 25, 30 laps straight. Um, in the B mod, I didn't have that, and now it's like, yeah, I almost need to be stronger to run it or something. It's something.
Be working out.
It's
It's a different animal.
definitely more fatiguing, like I got to lap like halfway through that race on Friday night and like my left side of my neck is like pumped out. I'm like, holy shit, like you get fatigued from going in circles for so many consecutive laps. But
Geez, I get fatigued in 18 laps at Fountain City when we're ripping up around the wall in the B mod. I get out of there and got freaking dirt running down your face. Your face is teared up and you're tired. I can't imagine what 40's lap or 40's like. I know I made that. What year was it, Park? When did they have the 20,000 win show? The B mod show was 60 lapper.
2016. We both made it. We were in the top 10.
2016. Parker and I, Mississippi Thunder had a 20,000 to win B mod show, 40,000 win mod show. It was a huge deal. And both Parker and I in our B mods made, I think Parker started like fifth and I started 10th or something like that. We both had they did they do 4 heats or 2 heats. They had 4 heats, didn't they?
This was 2017. I'm sorry, it's 2017. That's what it was. Yeah, 2017. We did 4 heat races.
You did
You
4 heat
throw
races
away
over the
one.
course of 2 nights. So you got 2 heat races a night. You did an invert. So basically, if you started ninth, you start dead last in the first heat, you're going to start on the pole of the second heat. They combine your points. You get one throwaway. So you got 4 heat races in 2 nights. You could throw away one of them. So perfect world, you got 3 heat race wins and a fifth. You're going to throw away the fifth. That's going to lock you into passing points, and that's where it put you starting. So Parker, I think, started fifth, and I started 10th. I don't know. I won a heat from like 7th or something. And I was pretty young and I made her, and that was a big deal for us. I think it was like $1,500 to start or something. It was pretty cool. And then I made her to that was a 60 lapper, and I made her about 24 laps of that. And then I was getting lapped by Austin Eiler, and I rolled the leader. So that was my high. I held my
It
line.
was an accident. It was an accident, but I remember watching that because we came
Yeah,
up with so bad.
I've never felt so bad in a race car. I remember I was just running through the center, and I remember I got the old razzle dazzle flag, and this UMP guy, Austin Eiler, I think his name was. He started on the pole and he was leading, and I just remember him sliding across my nose, and I didn't see it coming. I should have lifted, and I stayed in his right rear, and I just turned him down the front stretch right in front of the flag stand leading. I was about 15, 16 years old, and yep, we pulled off. I think Parker ended
Did he
up.
come talk to you?
I got fourth for
No, it
that.
wasn't really my fault. I held my line. It just kind of one of those deals where he ran up on me so fast, lapping me, and just kind of ran me over, and it was a bad
Dude,
deal.
that's one thing that's this year, if there's been nights where I've been, because there's been nights where I've been right at the back, at tail of the field. And
Yeah.
when you got the competitors that we do every week, I mean, I want to get out there and I want to move around and I want to race hard and try and figure out different things, but those guys roll up on you so damn quick in clean air that if you don't, get your butt going immediately when that green flag drops, it's like you see that move over flag and you're kind of like stuck where you're at, obviously. And then I don't know, it's just like the learning aspect from there, it just gets a lot tougher when
Well,
you can't move where you want to.
I mean, I was talking at work today. I was talking to the customer about this. We were talking about them late model guys and just talking about how how good everyone is and how how little you can be off, but yet be so far off everyone. Like, I mean, you watch nights where, I mean, I've seen nights where Mike Marlar, is getting lapped by these guys, and then a night later he's lapping the guys that were lapping him. It's just, and I mean, the mods I feel like are very similar. I mean, there's nights, Parker was a prime example. Parker, um, Friday night snuck in, got the last started. I think he started dead last.
I got a provisional.
He
I
got
started
provisional. Yep.
last. Yeah, I got a
And
provisional.
Parker started 30th, and Jim and the leaders or whatever caught. Like he was racing back there with. He was racing back there with some good cars. I mean, Rodney Sanders was.
Really good cars.
Yeah, I
There's a
mean,
lot of good cars
and
around you.
that's the thing. I mean, he was back there racing with Rodney and these guys. I mean, Rodney's won 4 national championships, and it's just
Five.
or five or whatever it's
Yeah,
been. It's like
yeah.
just you can be off just a little bit or get put behind the 8 ball, and start in the back. And like I said, that night Jim ran up on Parker and them guys and lapped them, and it was like, holy cow, is he this much faster? Well, then the next night, Parker started in the back and
24th, and I was up to
Parker was up. He was right up
ninth.
to Jim. I mean, he was right on
Yeah.
his tail. So it's like just the matter of one night, qualifying and everyone's so good. That's what's, going back to that 100,000 deal. That's just going to be so interesting about that 100,000 to win show. Um, like I said,
Well,
you got to
I
qualify. You
mean,
got a perfect night. I mean, you could have Nick Hoffman starting 29th in that show.
that's racing too in general. I mean, obviously it's different, but that racing in general, I mean, me and Parker have talked about this and my dad and how you can be 10th one night but be racing for the lead the next. I mean, because we've literally had that happen 2 or 3 times last year. We'd be like the night before I won at Deer Creek in June last year, I got 10th at Fountain City, and I was just pissed, thinking I was just terrible and I needed to
I remember, I
something to
remember,
do.
I remember
Yeah,
talking with you that night. I remember how many nights you and I had where we ran freaking 8th and 9th at Fountain City wide open on the wall, and we got out of the cars and we were just pissed, and we're like, God, do we just suck at driving race cars or what's the deal? And then you might go, like you said, you go to Deer Creek the next night and you won.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
the
It's just you need luck in racing nowadays.
that's the racing is a humbling sport. You know, it's a very
Oh
humbling
yeah,
sport. Like I said, you can be on top of the world one night, and the next night you can be at the back running like shit. You know, compared to a lot of other sports, football or basketball or wrestling or whatever it is. You know, the guys that are consistently good are usually consistently good, and like I said, you can be off just a little bit and go from running up front to being lap traffic. But
I think
what
it all starts with the pill draw too.
oh,
When you draw in the back, start in the back, it's hard to pass in heat races, and then you get behind the eight ball right away.
I don't care what
Mhm.
anyone says. You can be the best driver in the country. You still need luck. You still need, I
You
mean,
need no bad luck. You need
you
no
know
bad.
bad luck,
You
but
need no bad luck. Yeah, that's.
prime example this weekend, Lucas shot. Drew the pin 2 nights in a row.
Mhm.
I mean, Lucas is a badass race car driver. Lucas is one of the fast drivers in the country, but you know, he had 2 good draws and he had 2 good runs. Would
Mhm.
Lucas have won from 12th? I don't know. Maybe
Well,
not.
he's lucky he finished too, because he over-indexed his birdcage, and I'm like, you're sitting there on the front stretch, pull up the track, and his car's all wedged up. He over-indexed his left rear birdcage. It looked, I'm assuming,
He
or
did. I
that's.
remember. I remember.
Definitely,
I remember
And
saying to
well,
Dad and
who else was having issues? Someone else was having issues.
Alex.
Alex.
Alec,
Williamson,
that
the B
yes,
main Friday
they were
night.
over-indexing.
Well, I watched Brandon Davis do it last year too.
Mhm.
Oh, I remember
There was a
watching.
late model guy that did it this week too. We came down pit road to go to the scale, and he was like, his deck must have been 56 inches in the air. He
I
was
just
all
remember.
way over.
I remember looking at Dad after watching that feature Saturday night, and I'm like, "Holy crap! Does Lucas have his race car on the right front hard?" And then when we were leaving, I saw him down his tech, and his deck height was about 52 inches tall. I'm like, "Oh, he over-indexed."
Lucky Darlow wasn't there. Darlow would have been
He'd have probably DQ'd him.
DQ'd. That didn't pad not meeting the deck height.
Yeah, but no.
What
Go ahead, buddy.
No, so, well, I don't mean to interrupt. I was just gonna ask what some of the other things that uh Parker Anderson said in the chat for podcast ideas or
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, kind of switching lanes. We talked about the big deal, 100,000, whatever. I kind of want to switch over to a little bit of USMTS stuff. We've been on a. Can you guys still hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so we've got 10 minutes left on this thing. It says upgrade now. I'm gonna see if I can upgrade this and get us some more time here. So just you guys keep talking. You guys talk. I'm gonna work on this. But I was just switching to the
USMTS.
So
US.
what are we thinking? What are we thinking this weekend, boys? Corb, I know you and your dad practiced tonight at Chateau. Tell us a little bit about that. How the cars feel.
Did it
What was the
turn?
track like? Yeah, did the car turn?
We had some problems the opener at practice with my dad's modified, and it was going right. Couldn't get to turn. We changed just about everything on the car, and it turns now. So that was a big step, and we have a little bit of brake problems we got to work through on his, but should be ready to go for Friday. And my car, a little too rough for me. My right front shock doesn't have a ton of compression in it, so when the track got choppy, just wasn't really fair for me. So I only made about 2 laps and pulled in. But
When you texted in the chat today and said we're gonna go practice to make sure Joe's car turns, I just kept thinking to myself, turn 1 and 2 has no wall. So if that thing doesn't turn,
He's going straight off.
He's
you're
going straight
you're
off into
going
the
for a ride.
cattle pasture.
That's all I could think
Yeah.
about.
he was joking about it. He said at least if this one doesn't turn, he'll just drive it off the end of the track rather than into the wall.
Jesus.
Are you going there Friday or are you coming to Fountain City?
I think just my dad's gonna go over to Lansing, just make sure it's still again we've got the brake problem fixed before Deer Creek, and then we'll go and try our luck there.
Gotcha.
We-
Gotcha.
You guys can, you
Was
guys,
the car good for 2 laps?
Go ahead.
Mine, it tractioned up good, but just not really worth driving through the rough in practice.
Yeah.
But it felt good. It turned, didn't really dig the frame all that much. Just a little too rough for me.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Hopefully, I'm excited to get back to Deer Creek. It feels like, can't believe it's gonna, what is it? What's today? The 8th? Yeah, it's gonna be what, May 10th or 11th on
May 11th.
Saturday. Yeah, it just seems like such a late start for Deer Creek, just we went there in practice, how many weeks ago, but I'm ready to get out and race. That's one of my favorite tracks to race at.
I was talking to a guy today. You guys can still see me, right?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Okay. My ADHD brain's gonna try to multitask. No, I was talking with a guy today, and we kind of take for granted how nice of racetracks we have where we live. I mean, seriously,
I was just telling somebody that on Sunday.
I mean, if
I was telling Harley Dice that.
if you really think about it, just within about 200 miles of here, we got Cedar. I mean, you can go all over. You can go with soda tracks, but I mean, I guess USRA tracks or whatever. Or Mississippi Thunder, Deer Creek Speedway, Chateau, Decorah, West Union, Fairmont, Webster City, Mason City,
Fort Dodge, Rock Rapids,
Cedar
Fort
Lake.
Dodge ain't still USRA, are they? I thought they're IMCA now.
They're USRA
They're
now.
still USRA.
Yeah.
I thought Ryan Staley was promoting Fort Dodge.
I don't know.
I am not sure.
Hey, I
I'm
could
pretty
be
sure.
wrong.
I know it's Sports Raceway Park, so I'm pretty sure the USRA, because I know they had some mod races last year. There was, I think Havlick would go down there and race. Kyle Brown. Who else did I see was down there racing modifieds? I can't think of it off the
I
top.
feel like I'm not thinking of the right track right now.
Big
There
half.
was one that used to
Big
be
half
open.
mile.
No, this one wasn't a half mile. There's a place
You
that
gonna
used to run
Cresco?
USRA.
Yeah,
No,
Cresco.
I know Cresco.
Oh,
I know
which
those
one?
places. But there's one used to be USRA. Now they're all IMCA, I think.
Worthington.
JT, yeah, Worthington. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Worthington.
But they're IMCA now, I think.
Yeah, Worthington, because that's where I'm pretty sure Darlow used to be that guy there weekly, if I remember right. Back when we used to go there.
I used to want to go there really bad when I was younger.
I
I
remember
never went.
Worthington is a cool track.
I remember back when Parker was about, I don't know, 12, 13 years old, they used to have the USRA Ironman B-Mod series. And I remember Parker, Dad, Mom, and I would run around in our old motorhome, and I think there was a swing. Park would probably remember better than me. I think it was Worthington, Fort Dodge,
Webster City,
Webster City,
and
Oskaloosa, maybe.
trying
Or
to think.
Oh,
Oh yeah. It was Oskaloosa. So it was like Oskaloosa on a Wednesday night. Dad and I went down there. I remember it's Oskaloosa because I remember I started next to Caden Carter in the feature. And I didn't even get to make the feature because my old Ford transmission would not come out of low gear. I could not get it into high, so I had to pull in. Probably wouldn't have mattered. Caden went on and waxed ass in his sport mod, but
yeah, Caden.
yeah, and then I think we went from Oskaloosa to Fort Dodge, and then ended up in.
We went to Fort Dodge, and I'm pretty sure if I
Did we
remember.
go to Slate? Didn't we go to Slayton? Was that the other one? Was that a
No.
4-day swing? Did we go
No.
to Slayton?
I'm pretty sure if I remember we went to Fort Dodge, and Fort Dodge is where I met Pam Johnson. That was kind of where we made that family connection. We made our family friends there. I don't know if you remember that park.
Yeah, I do. 2011.
Pam and Lyndon and all them guys, Tyler and Tracy.
Yep.
Perfect. Now we've got unlimited minutes, guys.
Nice.
Yep, I just got the notification.
Great.
And then there we go. No, we went to Fort Dodge. If I remember right, do you remember Matt Lettle, Parker number 21?
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty
Matt
sure
Little,
Matt.
Brandon
I'm pretty
Hare,
sure
Brandon
Matt
Hare ran
Lettle.
that with us.
Pretty sure Matt Lettle won that. That was back when Hayden Carter was running an old victory car for he's running a victory car, and then there was Matt Leto,
Carter Vandenberg, cousin,
Brandon Hare,
Brandon Hare.
um, number 7. He won the battle at the bull ring a few
Jared
Timmerman.
Timmerman.
Yeah.
Timmerman. Yeah,
Well, there was a number
yeah,
where you
and it
could
was
pull
a
up.
big deal. It
Yeah,
was
it was a
a
big
lot of
deal.
fun. But no, I remember, God, I remember going down to Allison one time. I don't remember if that was on the, and Parker got dumped in turn 1. Allison, Iowa used to have a huge half mile and
Highway 3 Raceway. Yeah.
carried a lot of ground speed
And it
there.
had before you went, it was like when you went into 1, it was like the grader cut a little too deep going in, so you're like and it would like unload the car going into 1. And I remember I got spun out and turned and
Right in
just
the middle of 1 and 2.
clobbered.
Yep,
Wrecked
I remember
the
them.
race car.
They
Wrecked
had
the race car.
they had a telehandler underneath Parker's frame, I remember. Do you remember? And they were trying to push Parker's to get it into the trailer, and his car was just junk.
I remember cutting that car apart with the Sawzall when I got to the cross section, and I
Yep.
cut it, and it like literally sprung apart. There was so much tension built up from getting.
That was a
getting
bad
out.
night. But that was also when
Dude,
racing was a lot more fun, and you could go buy a new frame for about $800.
I think Dad went and bought it was an old Chastain car from this
Yep.
guy in Rochester.
Northern
It
Rochester.
was a modified.
Yep.
Had a lift bar in it, everything. It was mint. Like had like a night or 2 on it. I think he paid like $1,600 for the thing.
What?
Threw a crate motor in it, transmission, left the body on it, modified body on it, went and raced the Jamboree like
No.
2 weeks.
No.
No.
No. It was a white car. We had Featherlight make us some 28 stickers. We went to Elko, and Parker led. I don't know if you remember this.
19 3/4
Parker
laps.
led
I
19
forgot
and
about
3/4 laps, and Nate Choder drove in on the last corner and absolutely KO'd Parker in the left rear. And Ryan Olson went by both of them on the top and won the
I got third. I remember that.
And I still remember that was still one of the most heated moments I can remember, and as long as I've raced.
I was bound and determined at 13 years old I was gonna kick the shit out of his dad. I swear to God, I was so fired up. His dad was getting all lippy with me, and I'm 5'7" and about 125 pounds, just full of fire. Just
Nate Choder, if this makes it out to you, man, that was like
all
14.
good. No
We're,
hard
we're,
feelings.
we're all over
It's
it.
just fun. It's just funny to
fun.
laugh at. It's
But
just funny to laugh at.
yeah,
dude, speaking of
go ahead, buddy.
speaking of junk in cars, one of my best finishes, I think it was my second ever top 5. You two rolled the same night with
I
matching
got
race cars.
second. I remember that night. You got second.
That was my best finish. I had like a 4th before the year before that, but that was like my best finish ever. And I remember it so well because the reason I made it to the end of that race because it was super hot that night and I was overheating bad. And so was everybody. Like JT was running up front and he was overheating. But you guys caused a red that took so long that I got my motor cooled down.
Good one, Jackson.
You're welcome. You can thank my right rear trailing arm for snapping for that one. I remember
looking at that. Jack turned right down the back stretch,
right.
like broke, and I hit him. And I think I had 2 or 3 nights on my car from brand new.
Parker had that
oh
car.
God! And I jumped his right front, turned right, and it was just like tumble.
I just remember I was coming off the corner. Parker must have been right behind me, and I come off the corner. My trailing arm snapped. I just remember feeling my car unload and just boom! It just darted towards the wall. And of course, Parker and this was back in 18. Parker and I had identical wraps. And I just remember looking and all I saw was the white and blue 20. And I'm just like, and Parker hit me. And I remember watching him turn like this and he dug in and started rolling. And I dug in with my left rear and I tipped over. And then Casey Knutson came in and Casey KO'd me. Parker's tipped over. I'm sitting upside down. I got ethanol running down my ears. I got fuel running down my ears and I'm sitting upside down. I'm trying to get my straps. This was my first time ever rolling. I'm trying to get my straps untied. All of a sudden, I remember hearing Casey come flying in, and Casey's like, "I got you, buddy," and he's trying to pull my straps on. and we finally got the crotch or the seatbelt unbuckled, and I fell down out of it. I had fuel run down my ears. And I remember Parker come walking over. We got a junked white and blue 28 there, a junked white and blue 28 here. Casey's car was wadded up.
And what was funny about that is we like outside of cosmetic damage in that trailer, we didn't really wreck
No,
anything.
you didn't wreck anything. I wrecked a lot of shit on my car.
Well, maybe you did. I
No,
don't. I
you're
remember racing. I remember racing the
the
next
next.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So the next
that was bad. That was
before
bad.
getting on to that, so the next night Josh Shorter, President Josh, came. We were in the lab. I did not race. My car was pretty beat up. Parker's car was just smashed. Roof was crushed. Decking. We had that thing all torn apart. It was me, Parker, Josh.
Stripped to the frame, rolling
Yeah,
frame.
we had it stripped. I mean, deck off at everything, and we were busting ass. We got it fixed, and whatever bent in Parker's car, whatever happened, I have never seen Parker go that fast in a race car probably since that heat race. Parker draws like
Nine.
200 of 200 at Deer
Yeah.
Creek. Starts ninth. Jim Chisholm's in it. Nick Wagner. I don't know if you guys remember.
Modry.
Modry. Parker goes ninth to first in like a lap. I mean, it was literally like they just watered the track and it was tacky, and Parker went around like 6 cars in one car. I mean, it was crazy. And Parker must have got all worked up. And it was then I think he went in.
No, I went back that up. I went like ninth to second.
Or to second, yeah.
I had 7 laps to pass one car. And I threw that son of a bitch into 3 on the gas. I don't know what it was like. It turned and I could not get the thing to skate. It just was like it was just
Hooked up. He was so hooked up. And I remember I was watching
I
on
drove
the
into 3
stretch.
and I apologize. I fucking KO'd Nick Wagner. Like KO'd the guy leading the race.
First lap.
Heat race. And we were in redraw spots. It wasn't even passing points.
So
I had to tuck my tail between my legs, got the middle finger, and
went to the no.
And I did apologize. That was a bonehead move. But I just whatever was up with that race car, that thing was just stuck to the track. It was
well then Parker went to the back, does the same thing, goes from like ninth to like third or second again. He's back in redraw. Wide open on the top, and I just remember Parker absolutely clobbered the wall.
He did.
And I remember you pulling off, and my dad was so mad at Parker. You bent the drive shaft or something up into the cockpit.
Hit the J-bar loop
so hard I
or
broke
the drive shaft loop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was.
In the drive shaft.
Remember that night, Corb?
Yep, I remember that.
And the drive shaft wore through my seatbelt mount. Like it was like glowing orange. It literally wore through my seatbelt mount.
I remember because then I was like, you needed a certain length drive shaft. I think I found one from Alex Williamson, if I remember right. And I went and I found this drive shaft. We were gonna get it all back together to get Parker in the B. I remember Dad looking at me come back drive shaft. He goes, nope. He goes, he's done. My dad was just pissed. Parker was parked the rest of the night, didn't race, but. Hey, if we want to talk dumb moments in race cars, I've got a lot of them. I could take up this whole podcast with them.
Dude, every time you can't see me, but I chuckle every time Zach shows up on my screen because I see Jackson upside down and over the wall.
It has to be my favorite picture.
Yeah,
like every time he pops up
at the perfect moment. It's like you can see the roll cages collapse. Jackson's
at about
well,
that.
everyone's just got nice pictures of their race cars or something in the background, and like just seeing that.
At about that moment in time when that picture is taken, my I think I was probably about unconscious or I had pooped my pants at that point. That was not good.
Did you shit yourself? Actually,
I didn't actually shit myself.
well,
it
happened. I'm just saying. Like,
sorry for cussing. Family friendly.
What'd you say?
Sorry for cussing, brothers. Family friendly.
I don't give a fuck.
No, I did not shit my pants, but
okay,
I just remember, yeah, I remember when that happened. I remember I kind of blacked out for a second. I blacked out for a little while. And then I just remember feeling Cole Queenson. He was like, hey, he's like, Jack, you all right? You all right? And I just remember I was just like sitting there upside down. I was just like, holy shit, that just happened. I smoked that wall with my halo. And yeah, it was
You just said I just smoked that with my cock, and then you switched to Halo.
Great.
Not
Now
that-
we're gonna
We'll
get
have to edit that one out.
monetize.
We'll have to edit that one out.
They're gonna
no, but
monetize
that
it.
was the oh, that was, and then I remember my dad. I remember getting out of the car. And I remember my dad was sitting at the edge of the track. I think he was looking for the guy that sent me over the wall. Dad was hot. I don't remember if it was Cole or if it was Mike Malian or one of the track workers was like, "Don't think about it." And Dad just like peers over, and goes, "Oh, just looking at the racetrack." Dad said or made some smart ass comment. But yeah, we've had some rough goes over the years, but that's all right. Hopefully this year's gonna be better. Corb, we're kind of got you quiet over there in the corner. How's the year start off in the rage? I mean, I know it hasn't probably been the finishes you've been hoping for, but what are you thinking?
Well, if we could draw a little better, we'd be sitting a lot better, but drew a 95 out of 100 and 99 out of 100. But the car's been good. The lap times are there, right with the front. Just gotta get a little better draws to start up front, and I think we'll be pretty good this year.
Have you raced two
You've
times?
raced at Mason and where else?
MTS.
So
Oh
Corbin,
yeah,
There,
that's right.
2 nights there.
Corbin's raced
And-
2 nights this year. Like you said, draws out of 100. He's drawn 99, 95. So kind of explains how.
Last year in the same in back-to-back nights, Thursday, Friday of the spring USMTS race at Deer Creek, I drew 200 both nights in my B mod.
Well, I've at Deer Creek the last 3 years, I've drawn a 1, a 3, and a 7 in heat races at season opener. So this year I'm probably bound to draw about a 200 on Saturday.
Probably.
But
But
no,
it might not be bad if there's two features.
yeah, that is a nice thing about, for the B mod class, for how many cars there are. Deer Creek started up at double features. They get over 40 cars last year, and I think that's been a pretty good deal. Get to see a couple new winners, and
It's fresh
I think-
faces in Victory Lane, dude. It's way nicer.
what's that?
Just fresh faces in Victory Lane.
Right.
It's just a lot nicer it makes people want to keep going.
And I think
When you put 40 or 50 B mods in one
and only
field,
20 guys
even
make it.
right, and you could get 15th out of 40, which is still pretty good because there's 20 guys that can win. But
Right.
when you separate it, I mean, you get people who are never getting top fives are sneaking in there, and just gives them more momentum to keep going, I guess.
I think one of the
Yeah,
coolest things, one of
it's not discrediting, the
No,
competition by any means. It's just dividing
I-
dividing up the two features. to
it's
get-
usually split even. I mean,
Yeah.
for the most part.
I think one of the coolest, one of the cooler things I saw last year, Lily Rupp's got a top 5 last year. I thought that was pretty cool. When Lily got a top 5 at Deer Creek in one of those double features last year, I thought that was pretty cool. Gives some of these people that are always right there, and just gives them a good chance to, it splits up the field and gives a lot more people a lot better chance to run up front. I think that's pretty cool.
It is a lot nicer.
But no, yeah, I'm curious to see. It's gonna be a madhouse on Saturday. I'm curious to see how many race cars they're gonna have on Saturday for opener.
I'm
Quite
gonna
a bit.
bet. I'm gonna
No
bet
USMTS.
125, 130 cars.
Yeah, I think they'll be around that 140 range, right around there, 130, 140.
Yeah,
I bet
I agree with Corbin.
They
I
might
bet
get. They
there's
would get
close to-
20.
bet
They'll
there's-
get 25 stock cars. They'll get 50 B mods.
I was gonna
30
say, I bet it's-
modified. 30 to 32 modifieds.
and they'll
Well,
probably
they
get
might not
30
get
hobby stocks.
Oh, I forget about
And
that.
then they'll probably get 25 Midwest mods. They'll probably get 25 Midwest mods, 50 to 60 B mods, 25 to 35 modified, 20 to 30 modifieds,
There'll be
20
at least 30 because no USMTS is
Right.
going on.
20 to 20 to 25 stock cars, and I bet they get 25 to 30 hobby stocks. So yeah, I bet
Yep.
they'll have, yeah, they'll probably be in that 100 and 120 range.
They'll probably be B mains for at least
Almost all the
the two
classes.
I
mods
think all the
and
classes would be
yeah.
full fields.
Well, except B mods.
Oh yeah.
Well, B mods could
B-
still have B mains for
B
40.
mods.
Mhm.
I was gonna say
If we get over that's into that 60 range is
They're still
then
going to be.
it goes into the beam. We need the B mains and all that.
I've always wondered, I wanted to ask Cole last year. If you had a night where you got 60 B mods, they just do 3 B mod features. Just do 20, 20, 20. See what that would
they
do.
did that at the USR Nationals. They do that.
Yeah, right.
3
I
of them every night. I mean, there's like 12 different winners in the B mod down there
Right. And it's like,
during the week.
I mean, if you get 60 cars and you're paying them, $400 to win or whatever it is, I mean, I don't know. I think it would be kind of cool, but no, I don't know. I kind of got sidetracked when I was trying to figure out this, get us some more time, but you guys talk about USMTS at all? Get into that?
There, we didn't really get into that much.
So no, going back,
Um,
kind of going to, we talked about the big deal, the 100,000 mod show, whatever. But I mean, going to the USMTS deal, what's kind of been, what are some things that kind of stood out to you guys, watch the USMTS early on this year? I mean, who's kind of surprised? Who's um maybe not done what you thought they were going to do, or what are kind of your thoughts on the whole touring series as of right now?
I think I'm not surprised that Jake's winning right now.
No,
I think I'm surprised that Jim's not second,
right.
but I think for the most part the racing's been pretty good. But also they really don't have that many nights in for how many are on the schedule. I mean, there's been
Six,
Been a
six.
lot of rainouts.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
I'm surprised. One person I'm surprised who's not running better is Tanner Mullins. He
That's
seems to
that's
be
what I was
having.
gonna say
He seems
too.
to be
Neither is
having a
Derek.
So
Yeah.
they're both
he's-
Mullins is
They're-
8th in points and Ramirez is 9th in points right now. About 120, 130 out.
How many in the top 5 are from Minnesota? Is it 4?
Well,
4 of the top 5?
Ebert, Jake.
Jake and Ebert.
Oh well, Jim's
Jim's
not from
And then
Minnesota, I
Jim
guess.
is right,
Oh.
or another weekly guy.
What about that Hobshite racing that is it the GX4 or
He's
the
been good.
GRT? Yeah, he's been pretty
0-1.
solid.
He was one
Yeah,
of those
he's pretty
guys I was
solid.
gonna say that's kind of surprised me. I think he's in like third or fourth.
He's
What
not
team,
fourth.
Gorb?
He is 10th right now.
10.
I was gonna say
I
Jason
thought-
Hughes is in the top 5.
He was
I thought
he was his 5th, Chisholm's 4th, Phillips is 3rd, Ebert 2nd, Jake 1st.
Yeah. I mean, I think granted it's a long season, and I mean, you know how fast shit can go downhill, but the way things are looking right now, I mean, I think it's gonna be a 2-man battle between Jake and Jim throughout the year.
That's where I'm at.
I think once you get up here, I think they are going to be the clear. I mean, granted, I'm talking tour guys. I mean, Brandon Davis could very well come up here and wax ass at that three. I mean, Brandon is standout. I mean, he doesn't race with the
Brandon
tour.
he could contend for a national title if he
Absolutely.
if he could do the tour.
I've still said I think Brandon Davis is. I would put Brandon up there with. I mean, people might laugh. I think Brandon's a natural talent like a Ryan Gustin. I think you could throw Brandon about anything and that guy could wheel it. He can
Yeah.
drive. He's been that way for as long as I can remember. But I mean, I think as far as the tour goes, I think Jim and Jake are just too consistent right now. I mean, you
know
don't
what's crazy?
And when they're out front, they're so much faster than everyone else. That's where it's just I don't see them getting run down. If they start up front, I just don't see someone charging from the back or even from the middle and running them down. But it's hard to say though, because like Rodney Sanders goes in spurts where like he'll have like a couple off nights and all of a sudden you'll see him in the top 3 from 15th or 20th, and then all of a sudden he's winning a race, 2 nights later. So
I just remember last year
Yeah.
at the beginning of the year, Rodney kind of, I mean, I don't want to say up. I think he would probably say what he expects of himself. He didn't really start off super hot last year, I don't feel like. And then all of a sudden, come October or whatever, come the end of the year, September, he's there contending for a national title.
Mhm.
It's a
Well, he
long,
won.
it's a
Didn't he
long
win
season.
2 at Deer Creek last year?
Yeah. Yeah, he won.
Yeah,
Like
didn't he
2
win
in
the
this. He won.
Jamboree? Or not the
Yeah, he won
Jamboree.
two of
He
the.
won.
Yeah,
He won this.
he won the
He won
spring.
a
spring
USMTS spring race,
he
and
won
then
two
he
of them.
won
I say
Jamboree.
Brandon won
Yeah.
the Saturday night of the spring
And then the
race
10,000, and
last year,
then
and then
Rodney
I
won the
think
3 and the 5 back to
yep,
back.
yep.
But I just
I'm
think
surprised Tyler Wolf isn't up there more in points. I mean, if when he keeps his nose clean, he's right there.
Tyler Wolf, that's one I'd say Tyler Wolf is arguably one of the fastest guys consistently on the tour, but he just tears stuff up when he does. I mean, and I'm not talking negatively about him. It's not that, but just seems like he takes himself out of a lot of races. He'll be running up front, and he's just I'd say he's just as fast as Jake and Jim as those guys a lot of nights, but it just seems like he takes himself out of a lot of races.
He is so fun to watch too. Like watching him at Tri-State. I was at home, obviously watching on Racing Dirt, but man, he was just like when he gets in a rhythm though, like consistent around the bottom and hits
Oh
his
yeah,
mark.
he's
He is
fast.
like he is very solid.
Yeah. But no, I think once we get up here, I mean, I just think I have a hard time talking the touring guys, thinking any of them guys are gonna. I think it's gonna be hard to beat Jake and Jim up here. I really do. They're just
Well, I
they.
think you're gonna see when they come back home here. What is that? Not this week. Is
Two
it the
weeks.
2 weeks
We
when they?
race. There's 5 of those
Mhm,
USMTS races, and then there's the big deal.
mhm. You're gonna
It's a
see. Yeah,
pretty.
I think I wouldn't count out Jake and Jim to. I bet between the two of them, I would not be. I'm not out of line to say I wouldn't be surprised if each of them wins one of those races. If
Oh,
not,
I would
that's
bet on. I mean, granted, like you said, it takes a perfect
takes
night.
luck. It takes a lot of luck,
Luck, and
but
you
they're
gotta
just they're
you gotta have
consistent
shit not
enough.
break. But I mean, I was watching um Friday night this last week, and I was watching you guys from the infield. I was watching from the infield, and the things I've noticed between Friday night and then just watching the USMTS earlier this year, where I feel where Jake is so much better than everyone, it seems like Jake's car rotates so well. It seems like I remember watching him. Um, where was he at that night when Jim led like 30? We were watching that night. We were scaling Corbin and I's car. Remember that?
Humble.
Humble.
Humboldt. Yep.
Jim led like 38 laps, and there was a little bit of chop, and Jake could just in the center of the corner, Jake could rotate the nose so much better. And I mean, I think that's where Jake's beating guys. But watching Jim on Friday night from the infield, granted the racetrack was clean, whatever. Jim just beats everyone on entry. I mean, it looks like from what I can see from, like I said, from the infield, you kind of get a little different perspective. It looks like Jim can enter into the corner 20-mile-an-hour faster than anyone on the racetrack. It's unbelievable.
It's weird because like racing with him, it seems like it's the complete opposite. Like that he backs up his corner and that he's on the
Right.
gas and driving through the corner on the gas. Like you can, if you don't run right with him and match his footwork at where he's lifting, if you're trying to beat him into the corner, yeah, you might beat him into the corner, but center off, he's going to be on the gas, already
He's
turned, and
gone.
23 car lengths coming off. So that's where he's so smooth, and with his footwork, he's like backing up his entry. And Mike Marlar does the same thing. He said that in the late model multiple times, and he's been interviewed on Flow that he'll back up his entry to stay on the gas, get on the gas sooner, um, when he gets into the corner and drive through the corner on the throttle. And I feel like that's a hard thing to like get
Because
yourself to do,
because because
especially with that.
naturally you want to charge the corner, I feel like.
You
Naturally,
see the banking too, yeah. You think, oh,
right.
this is gonna hold me, but then you end up getting to the center and you just completely blow your corner entry and you're sliding through the center and now your exit's junk.
And I
I
feel
feel
like
like
that's
in a
hard.
B mod especially, that's huge.
Mm.
That's where I made my ground last year, doing that, just chilling out while everyone was driving so hard and sliding up the racetrack on exit.
You know,
I could
that's
just keep it right on the moisture.
that's and I feel like that's something that's hard is like I said, and you're side by side with someone and you're going to that corner, it's hard to tell yourself to roll out of gas and not race not race the car next to you. And that's, I feel like that's what Jim is doing really well too. You talk about his footwork, but Jim, it looks like just races the racetrack all the time. And I've known Jim a long time, and he'll tell you that. But he just raced the racetrack. A guy might come blowing in outside of him. It was Tyler Wolf. I think it was that night at Tri-State. Remember Tyler Wolf passed him on the top. It was that Tri-State, or where did Tyler Wolf pass?
No,
And
Jim
That
was-
was, I think that was at I think that was at Humboldt.
no, it wasn't
Where
Humboldt.
was that?
Jim won.
Arrowhead.
Arrowhead.
Arrowhead. That's what it
Tyler
was.
Wolf was
First weekend.
Tyler Wolf was
Arrowhead.
fast. Tyler Wolf was clearly faster. And I remember I was sitting with Dad and we're like, Tyler's gonna go by him. Tyler's gonna go by him. Finally he did. And a lot of us, I feel like, I mean, I know if I was in the position, what I'd probably do if I see a guy go by me in the next corner, I'm on the inside, I'm probably gonna drive in a little bit harder and try to slide up in front of him, taking that line away from him. And Jim he just kept running his line. He stayed right with him. And pretty soon, Tyler got up over it and Jim put 4 car lengths on him, won the race. Where I feel like a lot of guys just would start over driving, or they'd start racing, racing the leader. And that's hard to do.
You end up going slower because you're overdriving, you're blowing your corner entry, and yeah, that's
But I
hard
think
to get through.
come the end
Yeah.
of the year, I think they're going to be the 2 most consistent guys on that tour. I really do. I don't. I mean, Terry's good. Rodney's very good, and they could. That's kind of the crazy thing about racing. They could find something mid-July, and they could be half second faster all of a sudden. It's just that's how racing goes. But I think right now, just going off of what we've seen so far, I mean, it's pretty hard to bet against the 49 or the 24 right now.
I agree.
I might have to sign off here, fellas.
Yep. No, it's getting late, but
Yeah, same here.
well, let's just talk real quick. This upcoming weekend, we've got I think at least I am. Parker is Zach.
Dad,
My dad. We're planning on racing Mississippi Thunder Speedway Friday. I believe it's their spectator races. So yeah, if you can come on out, support them guys. I think Saturday, Corbin,
Deer Creek
myself,
Gilman.
Parker Anderson, Zach. We're all going to be at Deer Creek, bearing everything goes good Friday night. And yeah, see if we can't just maybe string together a good couple finishes this weekend. Be a good, a good little test, see how we start out the year. And yeah, try to keep our stuff straight. And yeah, that's about all we got. Anything you guys want to say before we sign off for the week?
Well,
I'm good.
see you next Wednesday, boys.
Yep, we appreciate you
Sir.
tuning in, and we'll see you again.
Good.
Out.
See you guys.
Yeah.